All right. We've got Zoom up and running here, and with that, it's 6:30, so I will call to order the City of Orinoco Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Thursday, April 10th, 2025. With that, we'll move on to roll call. I am Commissioner Kathy Brandt Rucker, Chair. Commissioner John Evans. Commissioner Grant Koser.
Here.
Commissioner Jim Phillips.
Here.
Commissioner Scott Sorensen.
Here.
Commissioner Daniel Spring.
Here.
And we do have one current open position. We'll move on to staff. Bill Carlson. Bill is
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here on Zoom.
perfect. Joe Palin and Jason Baker.
You see him on there.
I saw him on Zoom. Okay. With that, approval of the agenda for this evening. Does anybody have any changes? Right.
I make a motion to approve the
Okay.
agenda. Second.
Thank you. First and a second. All in favor of approval of agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Deny? Nay? None? And no abstentions? Okay. And with that, approval of minutes, which we will pass for this month. We don't currently have minutes from the prior meeting. And we do have a public hearing scheduled for 6:35 this evening. With our public hearing scheduled for 6:35, it's actually 6:32 right now. So we do have to meet that technicality of waiting till 6:35. But with that, what I can do is I can kind of explain how that will work. Our public hearing does get called to order. It's an opportunity for people during that public hearing to present their opinion, issues, concerns on what we do have there. And if there is anybody present, I do have a couple that have already been turned in. Anyone that's present that does want to speak during the public hearing, we do have some forms over on the podium over there that you can certainly fill out. And what will happen is once the public hearing is opened, we will go through and everyone that I've got form here will be allowed a couple minutes to speak. And once the public has finished their input, we will close the public hearing and have our staff report and have discussion up front. But that's more or less the process that we do have for the public hearing. And the other piece of that is with this being our public zoning, planning and zoning commission, what we do here is as recommendations to city council. So we do have the public hearing portion of it, and anything that we do does go as a recommendation to city council for their future next meeting. And Jim, what is the date of the next meeting for city council that's scheduled here? Do either of you guys have the next?
I don't have it. Daniel got it.
Have that handy?
15. I can look at it real quick.
15th. So
Next week, next Tuesday.
What are you talking about for the council?
yep,
Oh, I thought you were talking about for the next planning and zoning. No, it's next Tuesday.
taxes are due that day and city council meets. So there you go. We are still at 6:33. So 6:34, we got one more minute here, folks, and then we can officially.
Are they gonna
Open the
get a
public-
chance to put on their presentation as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know where you were gonna put that in for the public hearing or after the public hearing.
One part of the public hearing.
Okay.
Getting close, ticking down. And with that, it's 6:35. So I will open the public hearing at this time. I do have a few forms here if there's anybody that would like to speak for or against the zoning change that we have here, and I will read that first. So the zoning change that we have for this evening is to consider a zoning change at Outlot A, Cedar Woodlands, third parcel ID 84.20.12.080290. And with that, I do have 3 so far. I have Bill, and is it Tunson?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
I have Bill Tunson as our first person here to speak this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. For the record, I'm Bill Twain with WSE Consulting Firm, speaking on behalf of Pine Southwest in regards to this zone change. And this is Ryan Schoenfelder with me, who's an engineer with our firm that is assisting with the presentation. We're going to keep us very brief tonight, but I think it's important to go through what we're planning on doing here. Some of you have seen a little bit of the information from the neighborhood meeting we held on March 5th, but I'd just like to go through this, and if there's questions at any time, just stop me. So again, the application is for a land use and a zone change, approximately 2.3 acres.
Is there a way you're able to allow me to screen share at all?
Screen share, or you're trying to face the audience?
Screen share on
Computer.
a computer.
No, I think you have to be wired into it, plug into it.
Easiest for you guys.
Can you plug in? If
I can certainly try if you guys are patient
you
with
got a
us.
way to plug in over there, Daniel?
I would imagine it's
Should be the cord from the tall box there coming out the side.
Wizard of Oz online here.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
thank you.
Can you confirm, Jason, that that you can see this?
Yep, WSE Massey. Looks good from online.
Thank you.
Well, this is an aerial view of the property on the east side of Cedar Center Road. And that the westerly portion of that is what we're asking to zone to the R2. The rest of the site is already zoned R2 as you go to the east and to the south. Along with the zone change, as I mentioned, there's a land use plan amendment from commercial to multifamily. So that would show you the top part of that slide is the way it looks today. So the red on the upper side there is commercial. What would happen if this is approved? It's the bottom slide where R2. The zone change in land use for the R2 is really fits the tonality of the neighborhood that's left of it on the east side of the property there, as you can see, below the east side colored orange colored area there. So again, the pattern of land use and the zoning matches tonality of the surrounding land uses. Zoning to the east and southeast and provides a buffer to the commercial that's over on the west side where Two Sisters is located on the other side of the road. So far, we've had a pre-application meeting with the city, and then we did hold the neighborhood informational meetings I mentioned on March 5th. And going forward, if the zone change is approved tonight and goes on to the council with that recommendation, and council decides to make the zone change in the land use, we have to provide a site development plan, grading and drainage and construction plans, plat, utility plan, And then we need a traffic assessment that we'll be doing for the project. Those are the next steps. We usually don't do those with the zone change. If we don't get the zoning, this project's not gonna go forward, so. But that's what we're planning, and we did commit to the neighborhood, on March 5th that we would hold additional neighborhood meetings as necessary to present this project as it moves along with the neighbors. So I want to be really transparent with everybody on this application. The next slide is the architectural rendition of a concept plan. It's very conceptual for the site. These would be condominiums. They'd be owned, occupied condominiums under the condominium laws in the state of Minnesota. So it's really a strict set of rules and regulations that you have to follow when you form a condominium association. So you would, if you bought a unit there, you would own just the unit wall to wall. You don't own any common area. That's owned by the condo association. You pay a dues to maintain those. We have one storm pond being planned and a couple of access points to the surrounding roads. So the architect did provide us with some perspective views of the project. This is what that would look like. The far left of that project is where the zone change they requested. The rest of the site has a proper zoning on it. Another slide that shows you a little better view of these from units. And there's kind of a front view of the unit style. Gives an idea of similar projects that I failed to mention that Dragan is with me. He's the owner, applicant, developer. He's developed throughout the United States, different states with this type of product, and very well with it. In my opinion, and having worked for 56 years in this business, that Dragan is one of the better clients I've had to come through and do what he says he's going to do, and be totally transparent with the city and with neighbors. So I've worked with him on a project recently in Rochester, and I've had nothing but good things to say about how things have progressed with that. And I think you're going to hear from some people from the area that also testify. So this is the preliminary projection of what these buildings are going to look like, and then when we get further along, you'll see this again at some point. With that, we are requesting approval of the land use and zone change, and this approval for the zone change and land use does not grant us approval to do the project. Just gives us the ability to go forward and provide a plan for the product on the site. If there's any questions that you have, I'm going to end there. Let you ask questions if you want. If you don't have any, it's this time. And you do come up, Ryan and I will be available, and they're going to be available to any of the questions you have.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you. I do have the next speaker for the evening is Tom Oliveto.
And you do need to read the screen back.
We'll get our screen back. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here to speak with you this evening. I'm here just as a representative, I guess, of an individual that lives in a neighborhood in that they were referring to a project that Dragan is working on right now in Rochester, in Southwest Rochester. My property butts directly up on the east side of my property, starts the new project that he has going on right now. The first time I met Dragan was maybe 1.5 to 2 years ago now, when things first started getting going. Everything east of our property was old growth pine. So when we built our house up there, we knew that it was going to be developed at some time, and this was 21 years ago. And we figured within the first couple of years, houses will start being built where they weren't. And we got very lucky, and we had all that space to ourselves for the last 20 years. So, and a few other people in the neighborhood were in the same boat. And I think, there was some really opposition to this project all starting. But what I can tell you is, I knew it was coming, and there was really no stopping it. And I saw Dragan for the first time putting some safety tape up on a security gate that he was putting up on the end of the property, the end of the street that we have. So I walked out and just started a conversation to find out, what the plan was. He gave me 30 to 40 minutes of his time explaining everything. And I felt very good and comfortable. I felt like he was being forthcoming. He wasn't withholding anything. And by the end of the conversation, we exchanged phone numbers. And I said, if you need anything in regard to the property while you're here, give me a call. And he said the same thing. And that was about the last I had spoken with him until this past fall. I was starting a project on my house. We were adding a deck, and I had the idea that, hey, this lot next to me is not being developed yet. So I guess I should regress and explain, at the end of our street, there's going to be a cul-de-sac. So there'll be 3 or 4 more houses on that cul-de-sac that Dragon will be building. These are single-family homes unrelated to the townhomes that he's going to be building just to the east of those. And so I asked Dragon, hey, would it be possible to let the construction workers that I have on my project use that space instead of going through my yard with their skid steers, with their equipment? He said, please use, it's not, the final grade will not be done to this lot for quite some time. Use it at your will. And he said, for the security gate, if they need to get through that gate, I can have an extra key made. I will introduce you to the foreman of the construction company, which he did. And I worked with those guys and everybody was phenomenal. The safety person that was on the project had them moving equipment so my cement truck could get back there to pour the pad. And yeah, it was phenomenal. And so when Dragon asked me to come here on his behalf, I had no problem. And there were a couple other interactions we had most recently when we got probably the second to last snow that we had, where we got quite a bit of snow in southwest Rochester. There was, now that all the clear cut's gone, we had some runoff coming into our backyard from the grade and the slope that was done on the development. And there was pretty good creeks running through the backyard. And I approached Dragon about it and said, hey, a little concerned, that this might end up being an issue. He said, let me call the engineer today. And he did it that day. He called me back and said, we're going to have a meeting. Will you be able to attend so that we can address this issue? And it's all been taken care of. They've come up with a plan. They're going to build a small berm of about 2 feet along our property so that the runoff goes the direction it should. And yeah, it's been nothing but a pleasure. And I will reiterate what Bill said as far as being transparent, somebody that is very easy to get along with. And the other thing I would really emphasize here too is the fact that Dragon is very concerned about safety in the area that he's developing. I see him up there constantly putting traffic pylons up when the road was icy or when the construction was going on so that nobody would go into the areas they shouldn't. And very conscientious. Every time that I approached him to talk to him, if we were on the street, he would say, please, let's step to the curb, concerned about safety. So I have nothing but good things to say about him. And I really appreciate the time to speak with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a third up here. I have Richard Wysocki next.
For letting me speak here. Much like my neighbor, he lives about 3 doors down from me, said, Dragon is, I'll be honest with you, he's quite the character. He's always out there taking care of the property, sweeping up. When the development started, like the previous speaker said, we kind of realized when we bought our house, this was going to eventually be clear cut. And it was a shame, but we knew it was going to happen where our area is situated in Rochester. There's no way that was going to stay. And we've had a few developers come through and they make you nervous. They're talking about garden level twin homes, not matching the character of the neighborhood. And the first time I approached Dragon, he basically explained, he said, no, it's all going to be designed to fit in with what is currently up here. We're going to take our time. We're designing it so that we meet the character of the rest of the neighborhood. Throughout the earth moving project for 3 months, I think every other day there was a street sweeper running up and down the street, cleaning it up. He was constantly out there making sure that the trucks weren't an impediment. I actually enjoy seeing him when I'm out cutting my lawn. Dragon, I don't know why, but he's sitting out there constantly just observing the property. And like the previous speaker said, he's really keen on safety. We've got signs up all over the place. He had it gated off at one time, but it's gotten to the point where when I had this assumption with most developers that once Dragon got his permits, maybe things would change. Maybe it'd be like, oh, what are you gonna do? You know, I can do what I want now. He's been fantastic. Even after everything was approved, he got all the permits he needed. He hasn't changed one iota. Constantly says hi to me. We chit chat all the time. I clear the snow off the sidewalk of one of the houses he was building. We talk. So no, if you're gonna have a development go on, there's a lot of developers out there that would make you nervous to have them developing right in your backyard. I'm front row center. I'm, if anything, closer to the action than he is. I see it all going on and it's been fantastic. And yeah, if you have any qualms about him, his character, or just how he conducts his business, that wouldn't be a reason, you know, to hold it against him. So. Thank you.
I have said this once, I do have to say, is there anybody here that would like to speak for or against the application? And I have to say it a third time, is there anyone would like to speak for or against the application? Each speaking one, I will close the public hearing. And Philip, you're out there, could you talk us through the staff report that's included here tonight?
Sure. Madam Chair and Commissioners, the request in front of you has been explained and Bill put the map up. It's, in my experience, relatively simple and straightforward. You can see on the maps in my report the pattern of land use there that, as was pointed out, this site is currently guided and zoned red, the commercial B2, but right next to it is the orange R2, and to the north is the R1. That basic arrangement of land uses would remain with this if this is approved. We're just changing the one site, 2+ acres, from B2 to R2. So in my mind, the pattern of land use stays the same. The amount of land here is not significant, and the change to the overall area, I think, is minimal. So my recommendation is that you approve this. And as was pointed out, this is simply a change on the map, the land use map and the zoning map. This does not in any way give approval to a specific project or design. That will all come later. But this is relatively straightforward. I recommend approval. And after my report came in, I did send over a draft resolution that the City Council might consider when they take it up, that with findings for approval. And I don't know if that got to the Planning and Zoning Commission or not.
That did not.
Okay. Well, let me just read you findings that that I put together. One, that Pines Southwest LLC owns the property at Cedar Center Avenue and Center Point Road Southeast, legally known as Outlot A, Cedar Woodlands 3rd. 2, the property is guided and zoned B2, Highway Commercial. 3, the applicant Bill Toynton of WSE Massey Engineering, representing the owner, has requested the property be reguided to multifamily residential and rezoned to R2 multifamily residential. 4, the Orinoco Zoning Code in sections 151.346 and 151.347 sets forth the procedure for zoning amendments. 5, the property is bounded by B2 zoning to the west, R2 zoning to the east, and R1 zoning to the north. 6, the requested land use change and zoning map amendment do not significantly change the overall land use pattern in the area. 7, the City Council finds the requested change is reasonable and appropriate. So again, it's pretty simple and straightforward. And if you agree with that, you could recommend its approval. If not, you could certainly recommend denial And I would recommend that you craft findings that would support that denial.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
All right. With that, we have heard from the public hearing, which is now closed. We've gotten a staff report from Phil, who is recommending with those particular findings of fact that we approve. Is there any discussion up here?
I make a motion to approve the zoning change from B2 to R2.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion up here on a zone change from B2 to R2? We have a motion here to send that to council with a recommendation to approve. Okay, with that, I will call a vote. All in favor, approval, say aye.
Aye.
And any nay? Okay, that does pass. And with that, we will send this to council. They will have their meeting next week on tax day on the 15th. And it will be at there where they finalize or approve or deny what we've sent to them. So thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody who came and spoke for or against. We appreciate the turnout, so.
Thank you. Those handouts. Next one, yes, sir.
Mr. Gold, I have that on. Okay. You want to add that to the.
I'm not against, I'm right across the street.
Please.
The land is R1.
Start.
My place in the corner.
Perfect.
All the trees and a lot of cars and vehicles. How you doing, Bill? Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good day. Oh, I mean, get up is good. You are.
With that, we'll move on to new business this evening. What we have for new business is just a discussion. We don't actually have any public hearings scheduled for that this evening. Just at the very beginning of the meeting, I did get handed an application. So I will turn that into the city as well. And they will review the application and determine if everything's complete or if there's anything further. I will probably have you sign the application though at the bottom too. But with that, we have Josh Sather and Rose Chip. Yep, perfect. Yes. With that, and again, we'll have you at next month's, if everything is complete on this, we'll, like I said, turn it into the city. If all is complete, we'll likely have a public hearing next month because we do have to have legally an advance amount of time in order to schedule that and get it officially posted.
Right, you can't call it special. I mean, we have one neighbor and it's a commercial property. The other house is for sale, so who else has to be notified for that?
We have a legal process we have to follow where something has to be published in the paper. We have to put a notice outside. So we'll turn this over to the city and they'll,
6-foot variance?
for anything that would require a public hearing. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
just so that's, if we weren't going bigger, then we wouldn't need a variance and we could just build the building? I mean, get it done?
If there's something that matches what our code is today, so let's say here's our code. If everything matches and you don't go outside or need a couple extra feet or something, if it
Right.
matches.
Of my pre-existing building.
Yeah, if you've already been issued a building permit that fits what this is, then we wouldn't need a variance to go beyond what it says is
So
allowed.
my only issue was I would have made this meeting if it didn't get lost in the email that's still on the website that doesn't exist, that you guys, nobody has access to. And I waited and waited and waited. I felt like a pester. I finally drove down here. And then I got some information. Well, you gotta check your emails. You would have got a reply. I'm like, well, I sent it to the email. Then it clicked in their head, oh, what email? I mean, so there's no way around this. I've already been waiting over a month.
For this piece of it, no.
Right, for it to.
Right,
get
for
to
the
you
public
guys.
hearing, and I do apologize about that, because first I heard of it was literally the other day, when you had reached out and
Yeah,
asked
we've
to,
been following a city council meeting, all the public hearings for building, planning and zoning for a few years now. Wow, stuff happening like that.
That's, that's why I've got you on the agenda, because if we didn't hear from you, then I was gonna move it to the next part, because I've got a section it's all our old business where I'm checking each month now on, at least the ones that I've heard of end up on this list, so we at least know where in the process things are
Yes, ma'am.
slowing down. So I appreciate the feedback on that.
So and that was the only reason we came to see if there's any way to speed up the
Well,
process.
you can consider this officially turned into the city. I can't say that it's complete or anything, but I can tell you, I know enough to say it's been signed. And I will get this to the city, who will take action one way or the other and follow up with you on if everything's complete or if there's any additional information that's needed.
Because
and-
the contractor's already submitted everything to CMS, this has all been done.
So we will turn this over to Jason at the end of this meeting, so he's got it.
Yes.
Yes, so. I do have,
Chairperson,
yes,
if I may. This one, we've spoken with them, and the email forward, first of all, the email issue, it's one of those things where the email comes through and it was set up when Renee left. It sends out an automatic reply that she's no longer there and to email me. And I do know that's working because I get many emails where that goes through. Beyond that, we have worked with this individual, advised him, myself and CMS, that of the size issue, that if he does reduce size, it does fall within city ordinance and he won't need a public hearing. And we spoke about this in the last week or so or more about all this information. So this was something he was well aware of.
well, it's officially turned in and I will give it to you, Jason, after this meeting, so.
I ain't trying to start, I was just trying to see if there's a way we can speed up the process, and like you said, the email's still on there, so.
I appreciate the feedback, so we will make sure
Yes,
to
ma'am.
discuss that as well. Thank you, appreciate
Thank you, Jason.
So I don't think I finished.
Well, I think there's
This
one
one
trick
here.
question on there.
Yeah, because it said, will the proposed change be suitable so as not to create an
Fee
excessive
schedule to
burden
call a
on
special meeting,
all of
right?
this?
Well, there's a fee schedule to
Is
do
that
that, but
basically
you were
saying-
looking at the timing of
Is that
them,
basically?
that they wanted to do, and it was
what we're
like,
doing
Do you
is
want-
you
burden all
have to go back
this?
to council.
I'm assuming Jason's got your phone number to
Yeah.
follow up.
I'm not sure, does he?
Yeah.
Here, I will,
Okay.
you know what? I will
I
have
just
you,
didn't answer that because I didn't.
do you want to write your phone number on the back of that and I will give that to Jason as well. And he can just call you and figure out what, if anything else needs to be checked or turned in or paid or whatever it might be. All right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you stopping in and turning in some paperwork. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
So for next month, we'll either have that scheduled either as a public hearing, if that goes forward one way or the other, or we'll have it under old business for next month, one way or the other. So we'll know what's going on
Yeah,
there.
because I'm sure that Phil's gonna get involved with that too, because he's got to write that up for his write-up to go
Yep.
along with that, so.
Yep,
That's why to try to move it quicker than that, Daniel, was like, there's no way you can.
Post it. I was trying to, you gotta post it.
yep.
Because I
There-
went through and I'm going, no, it can't be there, and that's why, I got the building permit number that's on there.
So there's
to
always
follow
the
through to
legal
that.
side that has to go along with
Right.
planning and zoning.
Yeah,
And
for-
we,
If I may,
yes,
what did they turn into you?
I have got the petition for variance. So I've got that and her phone number. So if there's anything else missing or questions, they can follow up with you.
Okay,
The paperwork, this piece is here, whether it's complete or not, that's not necessarily for this body to determine. That's where it goes to our zoning administrator.
yep, thank you.
All right, with that, moving into old business, we have no other new business for this evening. For the WSBR project update, so that's our project where we are doing a complete rewrite of the entire section of the zoning ordinance part of code. With that, I do have a call scheduled for tomorrow with Lori to discuss. We're going to be putting together a meeting that's going to happen in the next 2 weeks for our final review. So what has happened in this last month or so, Mike and Lori have finished most of that legal review. There's a small section. They're still looking at just at signage and making sure our freedom of speech coverage is correct. And then the codification, so just organizing everything, putting all the numbering is done. They will be putting graphics because our new version of code will be less all the black and white legal, that'll still be there, but there's going to be a lot of illustrations. So that will be done next week and we will have that final draft. So 2 weeks for final review with the steering committee in this group. And we should have that, I'm hoping, available as a draft for P and Z on or before our next meeting. At that point, we'll probably discuss too, what's the best way to work that through the process to make sure it gets to council, because they are the ones that will have to do the final approval and adoption of any new code. So, but we're on track. So, I mean, everything that we can do and has been done has been on track. So we are.
So when are the public hearings gonna be? Is it after it's presented to city council or before?
That's the question. That's the question. Yeah. And yeah, we'll have to see how best to work that. And that's probably something I will specifically ask WSB on.
Okay.
They've worked with a lot of other communities who have done these complete rewrites. And what is the best way to get that work through the process to make sure everybody gets a chance to get some input on the code.
That was the question I had is what kind of timeline do they give the public to review prior to a
What
public
I've
hearing?
talked about before is I want to give them at least a good month or 2 months.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, it's out here for 5 days and hope
Exactly.
you're not on vacation this week.
Mhm.
No, that's not how this should handle.
Yep.
Because we are doing a complete rewrite and we do want the public to take a look, have their time to take a look and
Yep.
see it, make sure it fits what Orinoco really needs and wants.
Great,
So,
thank you.
yeah. And that's part of this whole process is because we know what we've had does not necessarily fit what we've been doing now with, especially with water, sewer, all the development pressure. So just making sure it works for our community. Questions for me on that one? There'll be more to follow up. I know if anybody is on the steering committee out there, we'll be getting in touch with them as well. Next on our update is our monthly incoming zoning applications and questions. And we did get a monthly permit report that was sitting here when we walked in tonight. I don't know if anybody wants to speak to this one way or the other. It's the 1 page only. Looks like we did have some maintenance, a plan review to replace a shed. One is a waiting payment, in-floor heating going in. Water service connection with meter, sewer, an irrigation water meter, a roof metal shed, a furnace, a re-roof, irrigation water meter, and running a gas line to a grill. So that looks like a quick recap of the last month. I do know we had a recent hailstorm, so I am expecting probably over the next few months, we're probably gonna see more re-roofing coming through. So I know there've been a number of people going around town, but there is actually some, yeah, there's a lot of people going around town right now.
Door knocking.
Yeah, so I know at least one of them has got the right license, I've heard, but there's a peddler license.
Person.
But I just know that there is actually some hail damage that really did happen during that storm the other
Really?
week. Yeah,
What was that?
Cause that was so
It's like-
tiny in my
it was a
house when I
Friday
looked at
night.
it. Yeah.
it was a Friday night.
Chairperson.
Yep.
Okay.
Kathy.
So anyway,
I got something in the mail from a legit roofing company. I mean,
yeah. Well, and
Same.
I went out and looked at the weather maps and you can see there's actually a pattern of heavy hail that did go through a very narrow band though of the heavy hail. So I don't know.
Interesting.
So it's possible that
Yeah,
they're,
I mean, ours was just like pea-size at the biggest, you know, and you're not gonna have any damage with pea-size hail.
so it just what happens there, but
Chairperson.
yes, please.
We have 2 companies that have come in and put in and gotten peddlers permits and transient permits to have their teams here walking around door to door. So one of them, there were 4 individuals, the other there were 2.
Okay.
Sheriff's office has also been notified, just so they're aware. of this going on, because we did have one citizen call in and ask, because they saw them out and about. They didn't have contact with them, but they've all been issued their permits. They're good to go. And it sounds like from talking with them, most of the damage occurred on the east side of 52, is where they're seeing the most significant stuff. So we did
That
have
matches
some
what
come
I'm-
out and look at City Hall and assess some of the damage that we took to our roof and side of our building as well. So
You didn't get any, did you?
So we look at ours and it was fine, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you. So there's two companies that have been come in and gotten permits, so that's
The
good.
one permit that's on here, the 252-90025,
Mhm.
that's Josh's permit number that there is, just so you know that one, the building permit, so you're aware of that.
Thanks. Anything more on that, or we'll move on? I don't know if we have any updates for these next couple, but letter C is, it was Gold Rush Crossings. I don't know if there's been any more on the city side for that one.
It's on the agenda, for a follow-up for this coming Tuesday.
Okay. So maybe we'll just back next month, what comes from council.
Kathy,
Yes.
just so you guys are aware, there's been no communication from their group. I've tried reaching out and I haven't heard anything from them. So
Okay, thanks,
continue to
Jason.
follow up as we go.
The next one we've got out there was a driveway request. This one, we first got it in February 13th here at P and Z just as a question. And so we'll just kind of keep it on there till we hear one way or the other. There's no public hearing or anything on this one, but I have not heard any update on this either.
I haven't either.
It's a driveway request. I think they wanted to move their driveway or close one off, but whatever it is, I have not heard one way or the
I
other.
haven't either.
Jason, do you know if there's any update on the driveway one?
Nothing has come back since. They haven't reached out or done anything more with it. So
Yeah, I talked to Mike, when, he was doing a plumbing issue with me and he said he hadn't done anything other than where it's at right now.
Okay. Okay. And then we do have one open position, so we've got nobody here this evening to interview. Jason, have you received any applications for that one? I have not.
we have not received anything else. I'm gonna have Mel start putting out some more stuff on Facebook. She's getting that resolved and we're gonna start posting more again. So
Yep.
we'll get it back out there.
And then we do have officer election. I know last month we discussed it a little bit and thought, do we wait till we have a full committee before we go forward with any further?
I think
elections?
that's still smart to do that and continue the way we're at right now.
That's how you guys want to go with that. I am fine with that as well. Anything else we have here this evening? We're out of agenda items.
I make a motion to
I
adjourn.
have one.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to mention the memo that I had sent out about the budget meetings.
Oh,
So since this hasn't been sent out officially, I wanted to be able to tell you guys up front that city council is gonna be holding a couple of budget planning workshops in the near future. And this is gonna go out to all the committees and the departments. And I think that maybe on our next meeting, we should have agenda items to match the discussion that the city, and I'll email this all out to you, but it's kind of growth goals, mission statements, documentation of scope, which a lot of the stuff isn't necessarily going to apply to us because we're going to have it's pretty much in stone what we're doing, right? What our vision is. So a lot of it's going to be quick for us. Growth goals might not be anything here, just WSB's already done. Wish list items, capital improvement funding needed. And then goals for 1, 3, 5 and possibly 10 years. Again, I don't know that would be applicable for our committee, but if anybody has any, this will go out. I'll make sure that everybody get an official memo when it gets sent out, but I don't know that we'll have a whole lot to actually discuss about this, but we are invited to these meetings if we have anything that's going that we need to present for 2026 budget stuff. So,
excellent.
We might want to look at taking some RFPs or something along those lines too, if we get to that, which will give us a timeline ahead of time, which.
Well, and
Yeah.
be looking,
think-
so.
once our code is getting closer to done, I think our next RFP we had discussed was it's been many, many, many years since we've done any type of RFP just for our zoning support services. And it probably is good just for the taxpayers to be open and transparent about that and make sure we get one of those out there.
So we might have a couple items that we want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do.
that would be the only thing.
Since
that I
it's an
would-
ongoing expense anyway,
Yep.
but probably it's good to do an RFP just to make.
I mean,
it
it's a
more-
goal that we evaluate it every year, 3 years or whatever it comes down
And
to,
it-
so.
I
I
don't know
don't think
when
it's
the
been
last,
done since 2006,
Yeah.
so it's been a
it's
while.
been a year to year, open-ended,
Kind of,
evergreen type of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, so the goal of these is to more or less educate the council members of the individual goals of these committees and the growth expectations and budget needs and kind of a wish list, prioritize
too.
wish list and stuff.
Yeah,
So if we have anything, we're invited to those, and we'll get the official document out there. I think I was just waiting on,
so maybe we'll put that on for next month.
yeah, absolutely.
Depending
For new
on-
Business or whatever,
I'll
to be
put
able
it
to
in the
bring it
new
up.
business.
But I'll try and get this out, and so we'll have a month to be thinking about if there's anything we want to present at one of these, budget workshop type meetings.
So 1, 3, 5, and 10-year goals, and
Yeah.
I'll probably just add the RFP.
Yeah, I think that would make sense for us to.
And
to
if
do
I
it.
can find a good draft, maybe I'll see if my free time, I have time to throw something together to at least have something to discuss.
Perfect.
Yes. I've got one more thing I'll throw on is I do know, and this is not necessarily directly P and Z, but I believe the parks area is doing a survey. So I think I've heard some
That's
discussion
something.
on that, that they got some grant money and are trying to do some more fact finding.
Mhm.
So,
I think it was on Facebook.
yeah, I think they've been trying to get the word out wherever they can.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's all I have. Anybody else has good items? So,
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
first and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now officially adjourned at 7:17.